Jharal Yow Yeh. If you follow the NRL, you most likely know the name. A player who possessed all the attributes of a devastating winger: speed, power, elusiveness and athleticism. He defied expectations and was at the very pinnacle of the sport at just 21, with a long, successful career ahead of him. But it would all crumble in a split moment.
He's been injured and there is some concern for both a Brisbane player and a South Sydney player. There's been a collision there.
Someone heard a snap. Oh dear, this is not good. We will take a break and we'll come back and give you a report.
This is a story of an athlete who experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows and came out the other side a winner. Let's take a deep dive into what happened to Jharal Yow Yeh. Before we get into this documentary, I must thank Manscaped for making this video possible. Valentine's Day is almost here, and by the grace of Cupid, my friends at Manscaped are coming with the best tools to get your boys downstairs ready for this special occasion. The leaders in below the waist grooming are giving you, the viewers, my exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use code ALPHAKAI for 20% off plus free shipping now. Take care of your package with the Platinum package from Manscaped. It's the all-encompassing package that every guy needs in preparation for this Valentine's Day. The headliner in this package is a Lawnmower 4.0. The trimmer's advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts and nicks on your delicate parts. The Platinum package also includes the Weed Whacker, Manscaped's premium body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo, and so much more. I say this genuinely from 1 year of experience with Manscaped products. They are elite. So support the channel and get 20% off and free shipping with the code ALPHAKAI at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code ALPHAKAI. Join Cupid and shoot your arrow with Manscaped this Valentine's Day. Okay, let's get into the story of Jharal Yow Yeh. Born and bred in Brisbane, Australia, it's safe to say Yow Yeh had a tumultuous childhood. Raised by a single mum and living with his brother, it would be a collective effort by both his grandparents and mum that would guide Jharal. An Indigenous Australian with Samoan roots through his grandmother and Chinese heritage through his great-grandfather, hence the last name Yow Yeh, he's a proud Indigenous man, but would say he was quite detached from his Indigenous heritage growing up, describing his family as westernised. His first love was soccer, playing that until the age of 10, before transitioning to rugby league. Attending Ferny Grove State High School, he was often unable to partake in extracurricular activities due to his family's financial situation. Growing up, Yow Yeh was not an NRL tragic, although enamoured by past Indigenous greats like Preston Campbell and Arthur Beetson. The camaraderie that is part of playing rugby league is what drew him to the sport. A sport that he played just for enjoyment quickly became something that Yow Yeh realised he could make a career from. Making junior representative sides from a young age, it was the selection to the emerging North Devils sides at 16 that was his first big break. Then feeder club for the Melbourne Storm, the North Devils side had the likes of future NRL stars like Adam Blair and Will Chambers. Unlike those two, Yow Yeh would not be selected by the Melbourne Storm, deemed too skinny for the NRL. Yow Yeh was quite an unassuming figure on the field due to his size, and although he was a try-scoring machine, he was often overlooked, never picking up any individual honours throughout his whole junior career. A year later, Yow Yeh would receive a scholarship offer by the Parramatta Eels, meaning he would relocate to New South Wales at just 17. Here he played alongside Albert Kelly in the Eels SG Ball side on the wing. After 5 months with the Eels, the club decided to abruptly terminate his scholarship, meaning Yow Yeh would have to return to Brisbane. The Eels, like the Storm, believed Yow Yeh was too small to play first grade. He would almost give up all his hopes of making the NRL, stating, "Parramatta told me that I wouldn't be able to cut it, and that's when I thought it was it. I had no idea what I was going to do. But I decided to give it another crack." Continuing with the North Devils, Yow Yeh's manager Cole Davis would implore the Brisbane Broncos to pick up Yow Yeh for the inaugural season of the NRL Under-20 Toyota Cup. The Broncos would oblige, signing the winger for a measly $1,000. It's safe to say that Jharal would give the Broncos a handsome return on their investment. Yow Yeh's debut season in the Under-20s was electric. With 27 tries in 26 games, he would come second behind Ben Barber, who led the entire competition in try scoring. Alongside the likes of Josh Hoffman, Josh Maguire, Andrew McCulloch, Alex Glenn and Ben Hunt, the Broncos stormed all the way to the grand final. He and Ben Hunt became close friends off the field and built a formidable partnership on it, as the two were named in the Toyota Cup Team of the Year. The Broncos would fall short in the final, but Yow Yeh had made a name for himself, becoming immediately elevated to the first grade side to conclude the year. Going into 2009, Yow Yeh was an outside chance to start for the Broncos. With Denenkemp off to the Warriors and a late Justin Hodges injury in the preseason, Yow Yeh would be given his debut in round 1 against the Cowboys. He would score on debut and make the most of his opportunities, producing highlights throughout the season, scoring 9 tries in 14 games before Brisbane bowed out in the preliminary finals. Yow Yeh had become the first choice winger for the Broncos now, with it his spot to lose. Yow Yeh would win his first representative cup, featuring for the Indigenous All-Stars in 2010, a game in which he played alongside his childhood hero Preston Campbell. Yow Yeh would suffer a leg injury during the All-Star game, forcing him to miss 5 rounds, but would feature in the remainder of the 2010 season. He would be selected for the Queensland Maroons as the 18th man, and would gain valuable experience with the side rooming with Billy Slater. Although still raw, and with the Broncos struggling, it was always clear how special Yow Yeh was. Jharal just had this knack for spectacular moments. Again in 2011, Yow Yeh would play for the Indigenous All-Stars, with this the start of a breakout year. Yow Yeh's 2011 season was breathtaking. He was an absolute highlight machine. It did not matter if it was off broken play, a high ball, or if it was just a meat pie. Yow Yeh was scoring and scoring lots of tries. This play would get him selected on May 6th for the first representative cap of his career for Australia. At just 21 years of age, Yow Yeh would score on debut in a win for the Aussies. Less than 3 weeks later, he would debut for the Queensland Maroons. Yow Yeh had already reached rugby league's showcase game, only 4 years removed from being told he was too skinny to ever play first grade. Yow Yeh scored in both Game 1 and 3 of the series, with the Maroons winning the 2011 Origin. The Broncos would fall in the prelim final yet again, but Yow Yeh would win even more silverware, with the Kangaroos taking out the Four Nations and the International Rookie of the Year award to conclude the year. Yow Yeh at the time was regarded as one of the highest profile wingers in the game. In the space of only about 2 full seasons, Yow Yeh had achieved accomplishments that very few NRL players would in their entire careers. Yow Yeh started 2012 strong, a try at the All-Star Games, his first for the Indigenous All-Stars, tries in the first 2 games of 2012. It seemed we were continuing to witness the upward trajectory of the star that was Jharal Yow Yeh, until one play changed everything. On the 23rd of March 2012, the Broncos would take on the Bunnies at HBF Park in Perth. The lead up to the game was different. A 5-hour flight to Perth is a rarity for an NRL match. Jharal recalls shopping with the team prior to the game in Perth, with the training sheds too small to train in, and he was unable to be strapped up by his normal trainer. All minuscule things, but things that weren't routine on game day for Yow Yeh. Jharal was given the instructions from coach Anthony Griffin to compete for every ball like you always do. Well, Yow Yeh's life would change forever on the 23rd minute as he competed for a high ball like he always would in goal.
He's been injured, and there is some concern for both a Brisbane player and a South Sydney player. There's been a collision there.
He snapped his leg. Someone heard a snap. Oh dear, this is not good. We will take a break and we'll come back and give you a report.
Too far to have a genuine attempt at the ball, Yow Yeh would collide into Dylan Farrell midair, with the entirety of Farrell's body weight falling on Yow Yeh's ankle. The incident would result in this, and I must warn you viewers, discretion is seriously advised. A compound fracture of the ankle that would snap both the fibula and tibula, with bone piercing through the skin. A seriously horrific injury, with Justin Hodges and Greg Inglis coming to his aid. Hodges would implore Yow Yeh to not look at the injury, but Jharal's curiosity got the best of him. Picking at his ankle, the yellow socks started to fill with blood, and Jharal would say at this point he was seriously just in shock. Jharal was taken to the hospital and was told by doctors that his injury was similar to a motorbike accident at 140 k's an hour, which created a realization that his career may possibly have just ended. The Broncos and doctors would make the decision to send Jharal back to Brisbane only 2 days after the injury occurred, which Yow Yeh believes to be a massive mistake. Being up in a high-pressure cabin, the skin on his ankle would die quickly, leaving a massive hole in his leg. His ankle was gangrene, and an urgent procedure would have to take place to save his foot. Skin would have to be removed from his thigh to his ankle. This procedure, alongside many more, would keep Jharal in hospital for 9 weeks straight, with 3 of those spent completely alone, as they tried to reduce the risk of infection. He would refer to this as the scariest weeks of his life, and spent many hours in tears. After the initial 3 weeks, Even the simple act of getting fresh air and leaving the building became a genuine struggle. He became a shell of who he was. Filled with anxiety, it was during this period he developed an addiction to painkillers. The painkillers were required though, as Yow Yeh became incapable of making any movements without severe pain. After numerous surgeries, Yow Yeh returned home after 9 weeks in hospital. He would eventually start rehabilitation and would basically have to relearn how to walk. The injury had left Yow Yeh's mobility severely impaired, as the ankle had fused by the time the bone had been fixed. It remained his mission though, to return to the field, with Yow Yeh still under heavy painkillers to facilitate his rehab. He would set his mind on returning to rugby league, even if he had to switch positions. Intense rehab, as well as 8 surgeries in 10 months, got him into a position where he was able to run again. After a further 3 months of rehabilitation, Yow Yeh would return to a rugby league field, suiting up for the North Devils 3rd Division side, positioned in the 2nd row. A far stretch from the blistering winger he once was, but he had got himself back onto a footy field, which in itself was a miracle. Yow Yeh actually sprung together some good footy in the lower grades, so good actually that the following preseason he would be selected by the Brisbane Broncos for their 2014 preseason trials. Yow Yeh was told by many professionals that he would be unlikely to play again, let alone put a Broncos jersey back on, but there he was. Yow Yeh would describe putting the Broncos jersey back on as one of the proudest of his life, as after 2 years of rehabilitation and 10 surgeries, he was once again a Bronco. Although a remarkable achievement, Yow Yeh spent the entirety of the day prepping his ankle for pre-game. He had a noticeable limp and remained in severe pain both on and off the field. Yow Yeh presented himself well in public, always with a smile, but he had become reliant on both painkillers and prescription medication to function. It became clear to Yow Yeh that his ankle was basically disabled. He had done all he could to return, and his current lifestyle was unsustainable.
I just think that I knew that in my head after I'd done everything that I just wasn't going to cut it.
Who would make the decision to retire at the age of 24, almost 2 years to the day of the horrific injury. It was safe to say Jharal was broken, not just physically but mentally. His retirement would push him into a deep depression. Rugby league for Yow Yeh was his life, but he was now left without a career and worried to what his future held for him. Jharal's future opportunities were limited due to his ankle, as he remained in serious pain. He began to mix painkillers with medication and alcohol as a coping mechanism as he fought serious demons. Jharal would highlight a week-long period post-retirement where he hit rock bottom. Jharal had spent an entire week on his couch. He did not even have the motivation to pick up the phone calls from either his mother or grandmother. Jharal stated, "I just didn't care about anyone. That was the day I would have killed myself." If it wasn't for his neighbour who picked up a desperation call from Yow Yeh, who lied on the floor in tears, he believes that that would have been it. His neighbour would get in touch with a local pastor, who would come to the house, and this was the start of Jharal's life turning around. Fast forwarding to today, Jharal's life has improved tremendously. Jharal's drug habits are now a thing of the past. That year following the injury, the Broncos would appoint Yow Yeh as the Indigenous Program Ambassador for the club. Working with the community, inspiring his fellow Indigenous Australians, he would transition into roles as the Broncos TV presenter and content producer. His time employed at the Broncos would span 6 years between 2014 and 2020, before being released due to the pandemic. Yow Yeh would persevere though. Currently employed as the co-host of the morning breakfast show on AAA Radio, and a beer representative at fellow Broncos enterprise Den & Kemp's Bloke Beer, Yow Yeh would experience the joy of getting married and welcoming his first child during this period as well. To go from one of rugby league's best to being told that you'll never play again, and then rebuilding your life from the absolute brink, Jharal Yow Yeh's story is one that is truly remarkable. If you enjoyed this detailed look at Jharal Yow Yeh's life, like this video, and if you want more Aussie sporting content, subscribe. Only 5% of my viewers are subscribed to the channel. Finally, comment down below any recommendations for future videos. Till next time, thank you for watching.